He's in the Nas Zone now. He's bordering Nas Zone.
You're going way too far.
He's bordering Nas Zone.
No, you're going way too far.
He's bordering
Nas Zone is crazy.
When I'm saying Nas Zone, I'm like, the lyrics are way better than the production. And the production is probably holding him back at this point.
Yeah, but Nas was in a different zone.
Yeah, Nas is like the nth degree.
Yeah. Good afternoon, beautiful people. This is another episode of Album Mode. We review a new album every single week. We look at the lyrics, the production, the overall aesthetic of the album, and how that album fits into the context of that artist's career. My name is Adriel Smiley, a.k.a. AdrielSmiley.com, a.k.a. Adriel Smiley Official, a.k.a. The Godfather, and we are here with His Royal Highness, King Grant.
What's happening, people? We're also here with Agent Zero, our producer, a.k.a. Chris. We're back. Another episode of Album Mode, something that I'm taking great joy in. This summer, now we're getting in the groove, you know?
Album Mode summer.
Yeah, Lil Uzi, you know, Young Thug. We got lots of Gunna. You know, shout out to the Gunna episode, which is our most viewed episode on YouTube currently.
Your boy.
And even Dave Central C. Like the summer is starting to
heat up.
Yeah, starting to percolate. Speaking of the summer, we got Dominic Fike's Sunburn. Okay.
Yeah.
Basically, it's a quintessential summer album. You know, like I feel like that is the best way to describe it. It's all summer vibes. When I first listened to it, I'll be honest with you, when I first listened to it, I didn't get it. I was like, it's kind of like, okay, that's all right. But there was this recent car drive I went on with my dad. The windows were all the way down, sun was shining, and I just had it on because that's what I do when we're reviewing the albums every week. And then when we're in the car drive, and I was like,
That's when it hit you? Oh man, that's so
right.
funny.
So that's where I'm like, okay, I see what's happening here now. So that's how I think it first started with me.
I feel like a car drive is an essential for every project. Like until it gets a car listen, it hasn't really gotten its listen.
True, I agree.
Yeah. And you are probably the biggest Dominic Fike fan I know. I think Dominic Fike is cool, but the way you talk about Dominic Fike, you would think he's the second coming of Michael Jackson. So I was very surprised to hear that you didn't love it just off of the fact that it existed, period.
Right.
But I want to go back in time a little bit.
That's not me, guys. You know that's not me.
You don't love Dominic Fike?
I do. I greatly appreciate him.
Okay.
I greatly appreciate it. But there's no artists where I'm like, oh, I love their music no matter what. Even The Weeknd.
No, fair.
Even The Weeknd. I think Kissland sucks.
Fair.
Sorry, Kissland fans. I think Kissland sucks.
You're canceled.
The latest stuff is awesome though. Go ahead.
Wow. So Dominic Fike's biggest fan turned his life around. I want to do a little bit of a backtrack because this is our second time reviewing Dominic Fike. The first one, what possibly could go wrong, or what could possibly go wrong, August of 2020. Do you remember the score you gave that album?
Yes, I gave it a 6, or maybe even a 6.5. It was like a 6.5, or 6.75. Like I was teetering on it, being like, I really like this. Versus like, yeah, it's all right, pretty good.
Yeah, I gave it a 7. I remember we had some good things to say about that project and kind of him doing some genre bending stuff. Yeah,
you know what? You know what's interesting about that? Since that review, I've actually come around a little bit more on it.
Wow.
I remember saying, I Think You Cancel Me, that song, Cancel Me.
Yeah.
Where I was like, oh, it's kind of hokey. It's kind of like...
Yeah, you were hating. I remember that.
Yeah, and you really liked it. And then, I want to say a year ago, I'm like, okay, I'm back around on it. I like it. I think that is my entire story with Dominic Fike. Is the first time I hear it, I'm just like, I guess.
And then
I'm like, I guess.
And then you juice it up.
I don't think it's... I would say my retrospective review on the previous album that I can't even remember the name of it is a 7. I liked it. I like it more now. I still like a lot of songs like Vampire, Superstar shit. The intro that's like surf guitar, all that stuff. I like it a lot more now.
I think his music ages well.
Yeah, me too.
He's one of the few artists left, I think, that really has, I don't know, but there's certain artists who it feels like everyone wants you to like them.
Yeah.
He definitely falls into that category. And I would say even more from kind of a label perspective because of how he came into this. In 2017, he was arrested for allegedly assaulting a police officer. Fuck the feds. And in that time, he released a rough draft of Don't Forget About Me, the demos. And that really, kind of blew him up, created some buzz, and led him to signing a $4 million record contract with Columbia Records. Now, for anyone who's anything about the music industry, a $4 million record contract does not come around that often.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of money being put into him and kind of ensuring that he succeeds. This, his sophomore album, comes, in between the first one in 2020 where we gave it good reviews and him appearing on Euphoria.
Yeah.
And I think some people, came onto him through that as well.
Yeah, which was, I guess we were just early. I think, what was your intro to Dominic Fike? Because mine was Brockhampton, where they did that one video where this is Dominic Fike. Do you remember that?
I know they were talking about it. At the time, I didn't remember that being him. Like when I heard of him later on, I didn't put two and two together.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So yeah, I just heard some of his Lucy's, but I didn't really put two and two together.
Yeah. So that was, I think, my intro, and then he had that EP, like 3 Nights.
Yeah.
That I didn't really like, and I was like, I don't get it. Again, I'm like, I don't get why everybody's super into him off of that. I think I maybe liked 2 out of the 4 songs or 5 songs. I'm doing this from memory, but yeah. So I was like, it's all right. And then the Euphoria appearance, which was after the first album.
Yeah.
I thought he was actually pretty good. He was doing what The Weeknd thought he was doing.
I'm screaming.
Right? I thought he's doing what The Weeknd thought he was doing. I bought in. I felt like he fit extremely well into Euphoria.
Yeah, because he was really on drugs.
Right? Which, he later admit to I think in a recent article he said that he was like, he almost got kicked off of the show because he was doing let's say illicit substances.
You know what I think is at that time when you were really like, I love Euphoria too, but you were really juiced. I thought he was even in Euphoria.
Yeah.
And I was just like, he's not acting. Like at the time I was like, this is not impressing me that Dom Fike is doing this. Like,
he was just doing him.
I'm like, he's a kid on drugs who makes music in a show playing a kid on drugs who makes music.
Yeah.
So I'm happy that it worked out well. I wasn't as impressed as you were with what he did on Euphoria, but I do love Euphoria, and I'm happy that role fit well for him.
Yeah, me too. And I'm excited about Euphoria going forwards. I'm pretty sure he's not going to be on it.
Yeah.
But overall, I think that it was a great placement for him, and I think the lead up for this album, Mona Lisa, was another excellent placement for him in the Spider-Man across the universe.
Yeah.
Across the multiverse, sorry.
Yeah.
Where that song basically, like I said this before, it was like my summer track. Like it's so sunny, so free.
And lifestyle.
And lifestyle. Lifestyle, yes. Lifestyle by Rich Gang, Young Thug. Like that is my anthem. That's the top of the playlist. So I think that one thing he's benefited from is like he's been put in positions to succeed, and it's worked each time. The Euphoria thing, I would consider that a success, and I would consider Mona Lisa being on Across the Spider-Verse, especially because Across the Spider-Verse is looking like a masterpiece type of film right now, and having a predominant song in it is a big deal. So I think, like, this is what your label is supposed to do. Put you in the spots, and then you fulfill the spots, and you keep getting bigger. I feel like everything is working properly for him.
I want to talk about what our favorite songs are from this project, because I have a couple of comps for him that I think really kind of set this project into how I'm looking at it and how I'm viewing him. But I think this may be one of the last times where he can get that off of having the aura, the energy of someone who's unsigned, on the come up, when he's had the label pumping money into him for basically 5 years now.
Yeah.
And I think that that's something that's been to his advantage as well. You know, as much as the label is pushing stuff into him, he wasn't the biggest celebrity when he joined Euphoria. Right. You know, him appearing on the Spider-Man soundtrack, it doesn't seem like a huge feature.
It's not groundbreaking.
You know, and so I think that that's the kind of the plus of the label is like these seem like, you know, good looks, good steps in his career, even though I'm sure a lot of these were kind of pay for play because of the position he's in. The one thing that I've been thinking about this project is it really reminds me of production-wise to the early 2000s.
Yeah.
It really gives me that like pop rock energy. And we talked about it when we did a couple of albums ago, Miley Cyrus's album and Willow's album, of how pop music isn't really rock based anymore.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't really say his music is rock based either, but it reminds me of a time when a lot of pop music was rock based.
Yeah.
And bands like Three Doors Down or Linkin Park were having all the top songs.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I think he does a good job of splitting between those two. The song that has really stood out to me, and the more I listen to this album, the more I like it, but this song is still my favorite song, is Dancing in the Courthouse.
Okay, I like that song a lot.
That song is very fun. And I think that when Dominic Fike came into our lives, Very Fun was not his energy.
Yeah.
Very Fun was not the vibe, And so to hear a lot of songs on this project, like Dancing in the Courthouse, that are really that fun energy, I think it's pretty cool. So that's probably still the one for me, but there's a lot that you could choose from. There's kind of no wrong answer here, I think.
Oh, you think so?
There's a lot that you could choose from. If you're from that era, there's a lot to choose from.
Okay, yeah, I would say there are a lot of good songs. I'm like, woo, if you can't, there's no wrong choice.
No wrong answers going too far. There's definitely some wrong answers.
I'm like, hold on a second, wait a minute.
Skip to the no skips.
Yeah. I think that there are a lot of good choices. I really, really like How Much Is Weed?
Yep.
But it's not my favorite. My favorite, I'm sorry, it's Mona Lisa. I can't.
You can't get enough of it.
I can't get enough of every time it comes on. I want to dance, right? I want to dance anytime I hear it. It's such a fun-loving song. It's not lovesick. It's almost like an exclamation of love, like And it's like very free. This is like running outside in a field, and there's just like daffodils, and you're just like laughing.
This is a song with Frolic too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I love it.
Maybe what we got to do is take the footage of you dancing that Soul series and make it to Mona Lisa and just make that something.
Yeah, maybe, because I just absolutely love this song. This is probably my song of the year right now.
Wow.
Yeah, like I cannot get enough of it. Maybe it's because it's also tied to Spider-Man, which I saw, which I also love. So I'm just like, maybe that joining of
that marriage is just stuck in your head. Yeah.
For real.
Cause I feel like this.
Did you see Spider-Man?
I still have not seen Spider-Man.
You haven't seen? Wow.
Yeah. So I when you were saying it, I was like, I gotta maybe see Spider-Man today.
No, you have. It's legit a masterpiece. Like,
no,
actually,
I might have to see it today. Honestly.
Yeah, it's like legitimately a masterpiece in animated movie. Serious. I'm not even joking.
No, I know. I've heard. I really do want to. Okay, this is my plans today. I'm already like okay. But yeah, I think that it really has that kind of positive memory for you, and I think that that's what this song really is. And I think a lot of this project is that of like these songs and these sounds bring you like good energy, good memories. The album that I thought of, and I really doubt that any of our listeners who are even old enough to remember this project.
Oh, okay, wow.
But this is really the album that I thought of like probably 6-7 times listening to this. Is Jack Johnson, In Between Dreams. Even Mona Lisa, I think of as like, Mona Lisa 100% could have been on In Between Dreams.
Okay.
And it's like, that was really the era of, that like light pop rock, light pop music. And I think like Dominic Fike is doing a great job of zeroing in on that. Yeah. This really reminds me a lot of Harry Styles' album where we were like, this is all Costco music. I think this is a lot better than Harry Styles' album personally. Yeah, me too. But I think like just stepping into that lane of I'm doing the pop rock thing and it's just me. So that's the album, if anyone hasn't heard that project, unfamiliar with Jack Johnson, that came out in 2005. Yeah. So it really is.
It's almost 20 years ago.
That's a crazy to say.
I love doing that. I love saying that.
Almost 20
years ago. Because the 2000s are like the 2000s. That's 20 years ago.
And it's crazy because when we say 20 years ago, we definitely meant 1990. Yeah. And that's 100% 30 years, more than 30 years ago now.
Yeah. So I'm just like, I love doing that. I'm like, 2005, like in 2 years, that will be 20 years ago.
Oh my God. The Dancing in the Courthouse.
Great song.
A really good song.
That one you can almost envision in your head. Right. Yeah. The songwriting in that song is really good. Same with Mona Lisa. Yeah. I think that's something that he has really upgraded his chops on is his songwriting. Right. The production though. I feel like the production is a step back. I think it's a step back.
You know what I really I was that in my notes, and it's like this is gonna be a who's who of who we can name from the early 2000s. Jason Mraz.
I don't know.
You know Jason Mraz?
No, I don't know Jason.
But you know who Jason Mraz is.
I would have to hear a song by Jason Mraz.
I'm not gonna sing it just because I'm not built like that. But you know who Jason Mraz is. But he's someone who Dancing Across reminds me of. And I think like the production on here is very, very minimal. Yeah. Like I think we mentioned this on the last review of how some of these songs have a demo-like feel. There is a bit of that on here as well.
That's his aesthetic, though. I feel like his aesthetic is very free, like loose and free.
And that's kind of where I don't dock him as much points for the production compared to what he's done in the past, because I think this is his lane. I think this is intentional. I have written here, he's Jack Johnson with a face tattoo. Yeah. Like, that is totally, because a lot of these songs, the production is still very light, very calm, but he's rapping on a few of these songs where it's like, this is like you're trying to rap here. This is not just a little I'm gonna rap the bridge and get to the next chorus. Yeah, he's rapping here. The one song that I think we can't go without mentioning, I'm sure you have this in your notes too, is "Think Fast" with Weezer. Yeah. I think that's one that will be, if it's not already, will be a stand up from this project. Yep.
But that's one of the songs that I'm talking where the production, I like it a lot, right? Where I think that there are times where he will oscillate between that like acoustic guitar, right? And just like a very airy feel. And then within that same song, it's like, oh, right, electric guitars exist. And we can put that on songs, you know? And I think that's what makes it like, gives it an extra edge to his music. But I feel like he doesn't really want to do that to all of his songs. There's a little bit of like the airiness. I get it because of summer vibes, right? But I think that the airiness can surrender to a little bit more of the gruffness. I want gruff. I want, electricity. And because I know he's capable of doing it. He's done it on previous projects too, right? So I think that the Think Fast, and I think the song that came before it is Ant Pile. Yeah. Right? They both got that, like, that extra electric guitar feel brings an extra level of grit to his music that I think it helps. It helps and still maintains its summer vibe.
Yeah, Ant Pile is edgy. Yeah. It's edgy.
So I think that Think Fast, I like it a lot. I think that collaborating with Weezer, that wasn't on my list.
No, not on my bingo card.
That wasn't on my list. But when it comes to Dominic Fike features overall, it's kind of hard to really determine who he would collab with, though.
And that's why I think of him in that space with the, like, again, the Jason Mrazes, Jack Johnson, those guys, because they weren't collaborating like how like Adam Levine might have been, Yeah, Adam Levine or him with Olivia Rodrigo would be pretty cool. That'd be interesting.
That'd be pretty cool because she's been in that. Like, we're talking about Weezer, so like Paramore, Avril Lavigne, like that is in the same bubble.
I think what Dominic Fike is doing here on Sunburn is something we probably, I can't remember last time we've seen this from a solo male artist, is he's taking singer-songwriter and making it the compliment that it used to be. I think before singer-songwriter was like, oh, this person really can make their own songs. Yeah. They do the production. I think singer-songwriter over the years has turned into something a lot softer. Yep. And when you hear singer-songwriter, you think of someone who the music ain't got no drums. It's mostly acoustic guitar, a lot of wailing. Yeah. And so I think he's reclaiming the term singer-songwriter. Yeah, because singer-songwriter, you think of like a Mitski, Japanese Breakfast. Yep. Folklore, Taylor Swift, right? So I do think that there is a little, that is cool. I think that's what I'm saying. Like, there is cool parts, bro. Like, let me get this clear. I think that the production, even though it's mostly acoustic, is good. Yeah. Most of the time. But it's good most of the time. I just feel like it leaves like some to be desired. I just feel like sometimes it's too much acoustic guitar, not enough anything else. I think there could be more electric guitar.
Right.
And I think like if you're thinking just sonically in terms of the balance of a song, lacking bass all over this project.
Yeah.
All my bass players, all my drummers, all my 808 lovers. As a musician, this whole album is just lacking that register completely. My last bit of production I want to talk about is Frisky.
Okay.
Yeah, you had to have that too?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like Frisky a lot. Frisky is the song I think of when I talk about him reclaiming that singer-songwriter status. Because this is it's a fun song. He gets to get his shit off. The guitars are living large on this one. But this one isn't that, that old folk singer-songwriter tempo that you think of putting you to sleep. This song's still the song that makes you want to get up.
Yeah, there's momentum to it.
Exactly. And so I think that is something that I want to give him some credit for. Because even though this album is so acoustic sounding, it's the whole lower register is just non-existent in this album. But it still is able to find a pace. So to do that with the way that it's produced, I think is impressive.
Yeah, and also the hoo-hoos in the background are fun, that there is that extra momentum. There is that almost like I feel like some of the songs almost have like an R&B vibe to them.
Yes.
Like Bodies. Bodies has got that 2000s Usher more type of like guitar in it, where it's more, there's definitely more rhythm to his music. That's the thing that separates him from a lot of like singer-songwriter or like acoustic artists. His music has like a lot of rhythm.
Yeah.
There's rhythm to it. Even if it's minimally drummed, like for example, Bodies doesn't really have that much drumming in it at all.
Not that much.
There's like salt shakers and like the FIFA like children in the background screaming.
The FIFA
there's people who are listening to this, the FIFA songs usually have like kids in the background like shouting lyrics and stuff like that. Yeah, I think that there's still like rhythm to his music that is kind of not really a part of a lot of singer-songwriter stuff, right? And I think that even though my biggest gripe is like I kind of heard this before. That's my biggest issue. No, but it is because we're talking about early 2000, right?
We have heard this before for sure,
right? So it is kind of heard it before. So I think that I kind of get left some of the songs leave me a little bit cold. Like 4x4.
Yeah, 4x4 is one that I'm not dying to listen to.
4x4 kind of just leaves me a little bit cold. I listen to it, I'm just like, yeah, okay. That's I think the biggest issue, because when it can have like the song with Weezer and the electric guitar and at the top, or Mona Lisa, where it's like danceable. There are songs like that, or even like What Kind of Woman, where I'm just like the production is kind of just stuck in the mud of early 2000s, and it kind of doesn't really move.
I think that this album is actually gonna age well.
Me too.
And I think that you, even yourself, are gonna probably have more affinity for these songs.
Yeah, probably
moving forward, because I do think this genre of pop music is one that really did not make it to TikTok, did not make it to the present, And for people like us who are kind of in the middle of growing up with the internet, but also knowing a time before the internet, this was the music of our childhood to some degree. This was a lot of like what the big songs were like. So I think he's able to find this pace to his music, and have it still be fun. Someone I thought of a lot with his music is Ed Sheeran, because
my God,
Ed Sheeran was that singer-songwriter guy. But Ed Sheeran, I think what made Ed Sheeran stand out a lot was he has all these songs that were guitar driven but had pace. Now he went overboard sometimes. Yeah, with the
I'm like,
pace,
wait, hold on a second.
No, Ed Sheeran thought he was a whole dance hall guy and everything, and so that's a little different. But just being a singer-songwriter, someone who, because I think people who write their songs from a place of playing guitar are different than people who write their songs just without playing guitar. Yeah, and Ed Sheeran is one of the guys who plays guitar and writes songs together, just like Dominic Fike is. So I think that having some, again, energy, pace, moving forward in your songs really is helpful. So I think like touring this project is going to be an absolute, vibe. Yeah. I think it's going to be a very, very fun album. But you mentioned that he's improved in some ways. Yeah. I think lyrically,
yes, way better.
Is one of them.
Way better.
And I'm so interested to see where he is at personally through these lyrics, because we talked about him being on drugs during Euphoria and how, that was almost getting kicked off the set. Yeah. That is a big part of Dominic Fike's image. And
part of his image, yeah.
Yeah, part of his life.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of off and on, kind of like the show.
Yeah,
but I'm interested to see how his songwriting is affected by that off and on, because he's definitely been getting better, and so I would love to see that continue. 7 hours. That's one that stood out to me, and I'm almost ready to join you on this Dominic Fike is a great thing since sliced bread train.
no, that's not.
I'm almost ready to join you, because I know that's how you feel deep down about Dominic Fike. It's like The Weeknd, Don Toliver, Dominic Fike, Playboy Cardi.
I would say today maybe, but maybe in 2018 or 19 or 20.
Yeah,
Playboy Cardi would have been like number 2.
no, he's ahead of the other guys before.
Yeah,
for sure. But I think what Dominic Fike really reminds me of, and this maybe is me being an old soul, is such an older way of making music and writing songs.
Yeah,
and on 7 hours, he does a good job of that. In verse 2, he says, 7-hour drive just to get beside you. I treat it like life or death. Won't do 25 to life just for killing time with me, so you could treat me like I'm worth it. And what's on at this hour? Just people talking. Let's leave your couch. I said, what's wrong with your bed and your peace and quiet? Let's leave the couch. He does this thing where he's turning whatever he's feeling literally into life or death. He says it life or death in the lyrics, but it's just a gravity of the situation. And I think that is kind of an old songwriting trope of like, let's treat this love or this infatuation as if it's life or death. It's the only thing happening. It's so severe. That's a 7-hour drive just to get beside you. If someone drives 7 hours, you gonna think they like you a lot. You ain't gonna question that. And I think that that's something that, all these songs could be love songs in a very generic way and written well. Yeah. But doing this thing of, let me find a way to make this have a little more gravity than a regular, oh, I think you're cute type of love song. So, that's something that he does a few times here, but 7 hours is one of the times that stood out to me. Yeah, and I would say also on Bodies, I think he does that too. But Bodies is like, I would say it's a good song about something that plagues internet discourse. Plagues is so right. Now I'm thinking about it, Dominic Fike actually makes music that comments on internet discourse. Right. Okay. Like you think about in the previous album where he was talking about like you people are vampires, like the vampires in LA, right? And then he's talking about hope you cancel me, like going on Jimmy Fallon being canceled so he can go and return to his family, right? And then on Bodies, I feel like even by just reading the name and me telling you it's about internet discourse, you know exactly what this song is about. But he even says, she got a baby daddy who keep bringing up the kid. I kind of struggle when I think about the past, but it's in the past. So I guess I try not to ask. I know your ex couldn't take you away. You're away. I know your freshman fling wasn't yesterday. And if you lost count of your body count, it's okay, baby. We can start fresh today. Hey. Snaps, please, snaps. And it's okay, baby. We can start fresh today. So, like I said, it's about internet discourse. That's so wild. But I would say that's a very mature. I would say that's like a regular person, or like not a barbarian on the internet. Yeah, like a regular person, average. Like they don't care. They don't care, and I think the way he put it is kind of like, I would say, eloquent. Yes. Right? And it's also in song form. So, people will hear it and like be singing the lyrics. I don't even fucking know what they're really singing. Then it'll be like, hold on a second, what? I think that it's a good song overall. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's also a very fun track. Again, it's got the FIFA voices in the background. That's what I'm not calling them. That's what I think is so funny about the song. Is that like what he's talking about and the song being so fun? Yeah. But he even talks about, like if she wasn't around, like I'd be hanging from, from my neck somewhere, right? So it's still dramatic, like you mentioned, but it's got this like extra level of like actually talking about real things that real or not real, depending on how you view the internet. Yeah, I was gonna say like depending on how you view the internet, a real or not real thing, and actually talking about it like a sane person who's in their 20s. So I like that song
For almost all of it, everything that happens in it.
No, I like that song a lot too. That's one of the songs I liked on my first listen.
Yeah.
I think that this is kind of who he is at this point, where he's very much a representative of the times. I think when you think of like, you know, new, young, what's current, like he 100% a lot about Dominic Fike. So I like that his lyrics reflect that, because there's no reason for that to even be a conversation. And for Dominic Fike to address it the way he did, I thought was very mature of him.
Yeah.
I talked about my favorite song on here, Dancing in the Courthouse. If you want to see me two-step, that's the song you got to put on.
That song, when I listen to it, it sounds like a daydream. I feel like so many of his songs, when you listen to them, are like daydreams or things that he kind of just like have floating in his head that he decided to externalize.
That's what drugs do to you. On verse 2, he says, "Hey, hell or high water, we cover for you like camouflage. It's not over till a fat woman sing hella high. Tap dancing in my, until I feel a change in my day-to-day on a daily basis. We make the love that keeps our world spinning. We make the gods our friends by cursing them. We make the wind our wings by raising your arms at the top of the world." I like that.
That's the daydream part I'm talking about. Right?
And that's a two-part of it, is like, it's a creativity in his lyrics that I think that he's really, really tapping into. The end section of that stanza, we're saying, we make love that keeps our world spinning. We make the gods our friends by cursing them. Oh, that's the real poetry.
Right.
Like, he's really trying to get into his bag there. And then earlier, him saying, it's not over till the fat woman sing hella high. We all know what that's about. It's not over till the fat lady sings. But I like when an artist takes something like that we all know and we can kind of see where it's headed and just takes a little bit of a left turn. I think that's very clever, and it's not easy to do, because you have the kind of disadvantage of everyone expecting you to say something else. People don't know the lyrics the first time they hear a song, but they definitely know that saying. Yeah. And so for you to take them left, I thought was a good move. So I would say, listen, if we're doing report cards for this project, lyrics, writing, he's definitely getting improved for sure. Yeah, and I don't know if I'm surprised by it, but I think when I was listening to it, I was like, oh, there's like real things happening in the songs, you know, because I'm also, remember, this is the same guy that dropped Chicken Tenders, bro. Okay. And unserious people. Yeah. Chicken Tenders and Phone Numbers. Right. So I would say Dominic Fike is not somebody who always wants their music to be taken super seriously. Yes. Right. So that's when I think that's like the impression I have from the beginning, right? I'm like, okay, so, you know, I know Dominic Fike. I've been listening to his music for years now. I know it's not always going to 100% be like, you know, we're getting in the nitty gritty. But I think that, you know, songs like even Mona Lisa, it's a pure love song, right? Pure love song where he's like, I mean, do I even need to give you the lyrics on Mona Lisa? I feel like everybody has heard it. So funny. But you know, like, for example, this is at the very beginning where he's like, here we go. Love is when you try to place your mind, but you can't turn the radio down, and you can't think of anyone else. And love is when you try to make it out alive, but you still cannot turn the radio down, and you can't think of anyone else, right? And then he's like, I can see your face in Parisian paintings, the Mona Lisa. I can hear your voice in the streets and the TV stations and the polices. I can feel the strains on my wrist. I don't need these bracelets. Of all the things that she keeps in cages, I'm at least his favorite, right? So that's a crazy bar. You know, right? I think that, you know, he's able to make it sound poetic, right? Because he could just be like, I love you, and I love you, and you know, everything reminds me of you. Yep. Basically is what he's saying, but it's elongated, right? Where it's like, you can't, you know, you're trying to focus on shit, and you like the radio's always on, you know, like it's always distracting you. Or I can see your face in Parisian paintings, calling you Mona Lisa. That is like that's a bar, bro. Right. So I think that, you know, he's become more poetic, right? We talk more poetic. Yeah. Like I said, it's kind of like daydreams. Like it's become more what he sings about and raps about, because he does rap in later songs, is more abstractionist. But you can tell where the abstractions are coming from. Right. So that's what I'm saying. Like
his writing is way better.
Way better.
Way better. Because I feel like in the previous album was more of like he lived in a certain circumstance and he's just like it was a reflection, right?
Just kind of reciting what happened.
Yeah, exactly. So now it's more abstractionist. Now it's more of like an idea. Now it's more of just like a daydream, you know. And it's gotten to a point where he kind of like even outstrips the production on some of his songs, you know. So I think that like Sick, I think the production for Sick kind of sucks. I feel like it's so hokey 2000s. I feel like it's so hokey 2000s, but I think that portion where he was like, you know, cause you make me high, right? But the high is like a talk box or like an AI or something like that. And then it's like, cause you make me sick, right? And like that extra element of using the talk box or AI voice or whatever adds an extra element to the song where like I feel like the rest of the production is very simplistic. But I feel like he's outstripping it. Like I feel like he's actually getting to a point where he's actually beyond his production at this point.
I would say that's true. I don't have any defense for Sick. That's not a song I'm gonna die on the hill of.
You're not gonna die on the hill of Sick. That's not number one for you.
I'm not gonna die on the hill of that one. But I do think you are right in the thought that he has maybe surpassed his production.
Yeah.
I'm kind of lost myself because I don't know what production style I want him to go for. You know, I do think
me too.
I don't think there's some area for him to grow in terms of what he does production wise, but I'm not even really sure what I'm looking for him. I don't have a comp saying, okay, copy all of Majid Jordan's production. I don't really have an idea there. So I'm with you, but at the same time, it's like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, because I like a lot of these songs on here.
I like them, but I don't love them except for Mona Lisa. Right? And I think that's maybe where it is for me, where I'm like, the production, I feel like the production is holding him back, actually, legitimately, at this point. I do.
I think that you will love more than one of these songs in 4 months. That's my prediction.
Maybe. I think that aesthetically, if you want to talk about aesthetics, I think the summer, like Midsummer Dream that he's like selling is beautifully done. I think it's perfectly fits in. The album cover is A1, perfectly fits it.
It's called Sunburn.
Yeah. So I think that aesthetically, it compiles very well. Yeah. It compiles very, very well. I'm just like, we've had this aesthetic. I'm like, The aesthetic is like, it's done well.
I thought you were into the Dominic Fike aesthetic. What happened?
I do, but it's but the other songs are different. Like I feel like I think my issue, I think what you talked about it being early 2000s, I think it's too much of a strict adherent to that.
Interesting.
Right? Where I was listening to, because I did listen to the previous albums and stuff like that. When I was listening to like Phone Numbers, it still was outside-y, still summery, but the guitar, he's like breaking, I feel like he's breaking away from the guitar. It's got multiple, he's got multiple of his voices. It has the dial tone. Like there's a lot more things a part of it versus on this album. I think that the guitar dominates a lot of what is happening, to the point where those extra elements fall into the wayside,
I think that you're right. He had a lot more hip hop elements. Let's just say it like that, like a lot more hip hop elements, which I think is still possible in his music. I don't think that has to be gone forever. But I would say what he's doing now feels more unique to the times than we did hip hop stuff. I think his hip hop stuff was like that was kind of why I didn't think he was the greatest man on earth like you did. was because with his hip hop stuff, I was like, I like some of these songs, but why would I listen to this song compared to someone else doing something similar, or someone else is doing some kind of pop hip hop mix? Yeah. So this sound, I think, gives me a reason to be like, if this is the sound I'm looking for, I'll go to him. He has a cool writing style. He has a nice voice. Yeah. He has acoustic guitars. But I do think there's something there. Let's talk about this cover.
Oh, I was gonna say one thing, because we were talking about like if there's any other people in his lane or something like that. You know what I thought about also? X.
Yeah.
I think XXXTentacion, like if he was still alive.
Yeah.
There is some parallels in sound.
I can see that. I can see that.
Less so in early X, where X was basically like punk rock.
You're talking about Singer X.
Yeah, I'm talking more about Singer X on like, I guess, what was it? The latest one is Question Mark, I think?
Yeah.
Yeah. Where it's more question marky, where it's like, it's a little bit more darker, it's a little sadder. Like, I don't know.
I can see that.
Yeah. I think he's happy. You know, Dominic Fike is happy.
Fike is going in the opposite direction.
Yeah, he's happy, but I don't know. The production is it's too almost dated. Like I don't know.
I like it for that reason. So I think we're opposite ends there. But let's talk about the cover quickly. We love it. We do love this cover. I think it is a cover that's going to stand out. And I think it's funny you talk about it being dated. The cover is almost dated as well. I think because the cover is good, it doesn't stand out as much. Yeah. But even the cover is giving very much Spring Break 2006. Yeah. So I think the cover kind of fits what the sound is. Yeah. As well. And you know, we talked about Summer Sounds in Janelle Monáe's album. And it's like, when was the last time this sound has been considered a summer sound? That is kind of my thing, is like, you talked about how summery it feels and it's kind of a summer album. Yeah. When was the last time we heard an album like this and said summer? I don't think we heard, you know, Taylor Swift's Folklore and thought summer. No. So an album like this that still has that summer feel, I think holds a lot of value. Yeah. In terms of his career, I don't even know what to make of Dominic Fike's career, because at some point I ultimately don't have as much invested into like whether he does well or not, because I know the label will not allow him not to do well. You know what I mean? Like, how much he signed for, how he came into this, the looks he's already getting. It's like, he definitely has a lot of big songs, and I think it's warranted. Like, you know, Three Nights is almost at 1 billion plays on Spotify. Phone Numbers is a pretty big song. Yeah. So it's like, it's not like he hasn't earned the success, but I ultimately feel like no, the label is not going to let him fail. Yeah, I think he's ultimately, when I think about Dominic Fike, I think he's just like in his spot, like his correct spot. Yes. I don't feel like he's underrated, really, but I don't think that he's overrated. Yeah, in any way. He's getting some nice placements, I would say. I actually would say he might be overrated. You think he's overrated? But he's not well known. I swear we had this conversation in the last. I feel like we must have. Yeah. And it's probably this inflated because you're the biggest Dominic Fike fan I've ever known. But why I don't want to say he's all the way overrated is because I don't know if he's known enough to be overrated. You know, I think some people who like him think he's the bee's knees. Yeah. And so they'll talk about him in that way. But overall, I don't know if he's well known enough to be overrated. Yeah, exactly. So it's like, I feel like he's just properly rated. He's doing solid. I think he has like 15 million monthly listeners, something like that. 16. I think he's at 19 now. 19, whatever. Yeah. It's in the teens. So he's like, he's a guy. You know, he's a guy out here. No, he's not underground. Yeah, he's a guy out here. He's got placements, you know, doing TV shows, music and movies. He's you know, the music sounds good. Like, he has like legit fans. He had, you know, connecting with the underground, which I would consider, like, Brockhampton is probably like the brink of the underground to literally A-listers, Zendaya. Yeah. So he's sitting pretty right now. Like, and not a lot of his work has like a lot of features on it either. So it's kind of just like his shit. So I feel like for him, the album is just like, yo, here's my album, you know? Like, people are going to vibe with it. People are going to be listening to the songs. Mona Lisa is going to be one of those tracks that I feel like that track's going to be on a lot of playlists like forever. For sure. For sure. So I think that, yeah, he's just like in a nice spot, you know? He's also, I feel like, yeah, I don't know. I feel like he's just in a great spot right now overall. Yeah. Like, he can do anything right now, I think. And unless it was just like drastically like, I'm going to release a metal album, he can kind of do whatever he kind of wants. And I feel like people will follow him to at least listen to it. Yeah, I think this is ultimately a plus for his career. Yeah. And I think the move for him next is maybe collaborating with more people. I think that he has a lot of space to go anywhere with that. You know, he's done stuff with Kenny Beats, which I think is cool. Yeah. He has a song with Weezer. And I just wonder where he goes in that direction next, because compared to his more hip hop, laced stuff to this, almost could be two different artists. But I think that there is, that avenue for him to go into these other lanes and just work with whoever. So maybe that will be kind of what determines where he is next. This in terms of a vinyl, where are you at with that? Are you going to be getting the vinyl for Sunburn?
I would say no, but it's a borderline no. I think the cover is like actually
it adds to it.
Yeah, the cover is really good, and it's almost like enough for like just like a poster. I think if they made a poster of this, I probably would just get the poster.
Yeah.
I think the music is solid, but it's just solid. And it's not enough for me to get the vinyl. What about you?
It's a maybe. It's a maybe. I think this is one of those albums I had to let grow on me.
Yeah.
Before I decide about the vinyl. Because there are a couple songs in here that I don't love. Like Sick. I'm not.
Yeah, Sick is kind of.
So it's like
4x4 is also one of those.
How much do I not like the songs I don't like to get the vinyl? Because this is not a no skips.
Yeah.
I'm just going to ruin that segment for you guys. Not a no skips.
Not a no skips.
So it's a maybe for me for the vinyl.
Yeah.
But let's get into the nitty gritty. Where you at with the score for this? This is your boy, the Don Dada for Demar.
I think that, well, let me do the breakdown.
Demar Fike.
Oh my God. My brother's name is actually Dominic, by the way.
Wow.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
So there is a handful of songs I really like. Like, there's a song I love, Mona Lisa. That's my number one. I like Dancing in the Courthouse, Frisky, go back and forth on. But then there's songs by 4x4, Sick, What Kind of Woman. I can leave those. I could just not have those. Oh, we also forgot to mention, kind of short. It's like a 40-minute album.
Yeah, 15 songs, but it is only 40 minutes.
Yeah. But I love Mona Lisa. Dancing in Courthouse, I love that song too, just not as much. And I think, How Much Is Weed is fun. I think the electric guitar is good.
Yeah.
I think his singing is really good. No complaints on the singing whatsoever. Like, it's solid. I think the songwriting is better, but the production, he's in the Nas Zone now. He's bordering Nas Zone.
You're going way too far.
He's bordering Nas Zone.
No, you're going way too far.
He's bordering
Nas Zone is crazy.
When I'm saying Nas Zone, I'm like, the lyrics are way better than the production, and the production is probably holding him back at this point.
Yeah, but Nas was in a different zone.
Yeah, Nas is like the nth degree.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, he is entering that space where I'm like, you need to find better producers, right? That are using you just more dynamically, just using you to do more interesting stuff. So overall, it is a 7.0. It's a solid,
wow,
solid 7. Yeah, I think it's gonna be a good summer album. There'll be songs I skip, but it's gonna be good vibes for the summer. So I think it's a 7 that could tick up. It's like an optimistic 7. We do that sometimes.
Okay.
How are you feeling?
For Sunburn by Dominic Fike, this is the album's gonna be a 7.5 for me.
Okay.
I was between a 7 and a 7.5. And I feel comfortable just going ahead and giving it that 0.5 because I do think this will be a great summer album that ages well.
Yeah.
And I think even though it's not a no skips, cohesively, it does fit together well. And I think the thing that this album has that so many albums, and it's very hard to find, is that it has the ability to be played in the background. It can be like, a clean the house, do homework, get some work done, chill album. But there are enough songs on here with a pace where it can be like played at some kind of function or have songs people dance to. And to have that be the same project is very rare. So 7.5 for me.
Yeah. So okay, 7.5. That's a solid album, especially by album mode standards.
Yeah.
Okay.
For all the YouTube people who are new to album mode, there are times when it sounds like Demar hates the album, but he'll still give it a 7.
But I've tried to fix that. I've been fixing that. I knew that it happened. We even talked about it in the past.
Yeah.
Where I feel like I was coming down on an album, but I'm like, actually, I kind of like it though. But so I feel like I fixed it though, because I still do like this album, and I've expressed that. But there are drawbacks.
Yes,
which I did express as well.
And of course, when you think so highly of someone, you always expect more. So
I think I need to clarify this. Do you not like Dominic Fike? Let me
I do for sure. He's cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's it though.
That's it.
Okay.
I don't think he's the second coming of.
No, but that's not that's not where I am either. I think I'm just high on Dominic Fike. I think I'm like, this guy's really good, and I see potential for more like interesting things to happen.
For sure.
Right? And there's lots of space.
Yeah.
Right? Lots of space.
And I think you think he's cool.
Yeah.
I don't know if I think he's cool.
I think Dominic Fike's
But
cool.
I don't think anybody's cool. So that's
Okay.
that's fair.
Okay.
Yeah, let us know in the comments. How do you all feel about Dominic Fike?
Yeah, yes, exactly. That's what I want to hear. I want to hear.
All the Dominic Fike fans, please let us know.
Please let us know. How do you feel about Dominic Fike just overall?
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm really curious about that because I didn't think that. I don't know. I think he's a plus.
He is a plus, but I think Dominic Fike falls into this quote that I've been saying a lot recently: is the internet loves rappers more than they love rap. Like they just think rappers are cool. They don't actually love rap music. Dominic Fike is a bit in that. I think some people just like his vibe and think he's cool.
Yeah.
More than they actually love his music.
Right. Okay.
I don't really think he's cool like that.
Okay.
I don't know him, but I like his music.
Okay.
So we'll leave it at that. If y'all made it to the end of this podcast, y'all know what to do. Leave us a rating and a review. 5 stars, not a single star less, on all your podcast platforms: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts. Of course, make sure you follow us on all the interwebs.
Don't forget YouTube.
We're getting there.
Okay.
At Album Mode Pod on Twitter, at Album Mode Pod on Instagram, at Album Mode Pod on TikTok, and of course, make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube at Album Mode Pod. Thank you for everyone who's been showing us the love over on YouTube.
Yeah.
We really, really appreciate it. Like, share, comment, subscribe. If you're watching this video on YouTube, go ahead and like it, please. Get your lives together. And until next time, know yourself, know your worth.
Later days.